I made a lot of art this past January, and I wanted to review why I made the art that I did. So let's get into it. I started off this month with this design for one of my Oeshian characters. I wanted to try designing him a second time, and I feel like this pass pins down a lot of what I wanted to do with him visually, but I still feel like his color palette isn't there yet. Really love his pants though. Next is my antagonist portrait for Ascension of Elements. I really wanted to sell the feeling of despair and sorrow with this piece, as well as give a little more detailed look at his throne. I think it worked out really well, and I think the halo effect on his platinum hair looks really cool. Next are some of my prop pages for the Sapires and Varsilis. This was a series I was wrapping up at the beginning of the month that I used to explore the tools and items that each fantasy race would like to use during their day-to-day. I remember being lukewarm about the Varsilis sheet initially, and still kind of do feel that way. I think the Sapire one is so much more creative and interesting, although I do like the little propagation station I drew. It's very cute. Next was this Sapire portrait. I wanted to show what sandstorms would look like within the boundaries of their territory, as well as work with some bright fabrics. I think that the sand effects are cool, but I don't really like how monochromatic this piece felt by the time that I finished it. Moving on to this Valkyrian portrait of a shepherd boy with a lamb. I think this came out so sweet and very calming. I wanted to try experimenting with more gray fabrics and clothing designs with the Valkyrian, as I feel like it would work great with their more darker skin tones. I also wanted to do a little visual world building around the cloud sheep, and figure out how I could combine clouds and their wool together in my style. I polled my audience to see what race they wanted more art of, and they said the Sapires, so it was time to take another crack at a Sapire portrait. I had this neat idea for a triangular nose ring, and I also wanted to incorporate these light triangle details that I experimented with earlier in my prop set. I think they add such a nice amount of contrast to an otherwise dark paletted outfit. I also wanted to show off how the insides of Sapire's mouths glow, and I was able to do that here too. I returned back to the Valkyrians with this piece, and tried to work out more outfit design ideas with more of these desaturated colors. I also wanted to include a little bit more of those cloud-like shapes on his shawl. I think this one came out pretty good. His wings are based off of the male Amur falcon. This was my last post of January, an Oeshian portrait. Since I had been focusing on Sapires and Valkyrian art, I wanted to give the Oeshian some love and tried doing another underwater piece. I also really wanted to get out of this red and desaturated phase I had been going through, and just go straight green. This piece was also an experiment for these neat water ripple effects, which I created in After Effects. I like this piece a lot. It's very dramatic, and I think the subtle inclusion of more red-toned elements like her fins, gills, and eyes give a pop in the right place. However, I do think a lot of my really cool line work gets lost in the darker background of the piece. No worries though, because the effect looks cool as a result. It feels like she's almost falling into a void. Well, this was my month in review. Can't wait to see what I can cook up in the next 4 weeks. See you then!